Hey,
There we go.
Damn technology worked. Wow, second time's the charm here.
We are starting to sweat whether or not we're going to get on.
Hey, welcome. We are Ben and Rebecca of, I guess, the YouTube channel Outliers Overland, and we are on a long, like a 5-week long road trip in our 4x4 expedition vehicle down here in Baja California. And
Mexico.
This is Mexico. Yeah, this is a live video, March 19th, and a lot of stuff happened today.
Yeah, it's been an interesting day. Well, it's been an interesting week.
Yeah, definitely. What we're going to do is, since we're doing a live video this week, if you want to see a preview of next week's vlog, or actually the full vlog, go into the video description of this video and it'll take you to our website, which will then take you back to YouTube. But if you join our website, it's free. There's all kinds of cool stuff there. You get to see next week's video early.
Yeah. It's in our blog post on the website.
Yeah.
So you just have to read the blog post and click on the video in there and you'll get to see it early.
Other announcements are the trailer for our documentary, Overland North America, is so close. Mm-hmm. It is there. We are very excited about that one.
Gave the editor a list of second revision. Hello,
Vince from Florida,
California, Kansas, California, Florida. Thank you guys. Welcome everybody.
So we are currently in La Paz, the north end of La Paz, at a campground, not any wild, exotic location. We were off to a wild exotic location, a lighthouse today, but then we got a phone call and that whole announcement that they might call Americans back home and all the associated headlines that stir around that. So we just decided, we're trying to keep a level head here, but we
decided to come into town for supplies.
Yeah, we want to top off the fuel tanks
and get some more water.
Yep.
Get a few extra groceries just to be safe.
Yeah.
And have some decent internet to watch and see what's going to happen over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, there's a lot happening right now, so I guess all we can really do is take it day by day.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna see me looking down here at my phone for notes, but yeah. So the coronavirus, the main topic of conversation down here in Mexico. A few days ago, the Canadians, a lot of them down here, they really got nervous, some of them, and started making runs for Canada.
Yeah, some are still here. Some people are not worried at all, and
they're still drinking their beer and margaritas at happy hour.
How they can stay longer.
Yeah.
So we've got a question: what's diesel going for? So what'd you pay for it today, Ben?
I can't remember.
It's been around $4.
Yeah,
when I've calculated it, $4 to $4.50, depending on what town we're in and where we're paying.
We got word.
Puerto Rico, Florida. That's awesome.
We got word today that somebody in our hometown of Seward, which is a pretty small place, 3,000 or so people, contracted coronavirus. So it is everywhere, and I think it is going to affect everybody in some way or another. There are a lot of nervous people. It's interesting, unprecedented times.
It is. I don't think any of us have ever seen anything like this before, so it's hard to know what the next day is going to bring, or the week, or the next hour sometimes even.
But their stores have had runs on hand sanitizer, tons of toilet paper still.
But when you ask the locals who work in the store, they're like, it's the tourists buying all of it.
The expats and Westerners have definitely been stocking up. We've only seen, I've seen a couple people with masks now.
I saw some today.
Some people in that grocery store today. Definitely.
Starting to see it. Yeah.
Schools are closed down here.
Yes. They are closing on the 23rd, which makes us think maybe they were already on spring break, and they're staying closed until April 20th.
Wow. It's awesome getting to say hi to everybody.
It is.
It's great when this technology works.
I know. Yeah. I'm so glad it did.
So we are
Alabama
continuing with our trip in a very day-to-day sense. Rebecca and I both have kind of differing opinions in some ways, but
I think we both agree to take it one day at a time and see how it goes.
Yeah. And I have zero desire to run into the flames because, just going to say it, life is not that bad down here if you want to isolate yourself or distance yourself. We social distance really, really well down here in Mexico. The wild camping on the beaches, it's amazing. And gosh, we are kind of lucky. We have this kind of zombie apocalypse grade 4x4 off-road vehicle that would excel with the solar and all that. So in the end days, I think we got a fighting chance.
We do. And my one exception to that would be if one of us gets sick, then I think we should go home because there's better health care at home.
Yeah. And so on the topic of health care, I heard the Canadians were threatened with their insurance would not be good if they did not return home. Just for us, since we're self-employed, we get screwed because we pay a ton of money for health insurance, but it also gave us the option of purchasing health insurance that covers us anywhere on the planet. Evacuation, repatriation of remains, vision, dental. Yep. Yeah, it's a really cool insurance plan. So we're not too worried about that. Rebecca's a physician assistant, and I can fish and hunt. So I think we would do really, really well if push came to shove.
Well, and after hearing what they're saying today, I don't know if I should say this on live video, but we are going to go get some chloroquine because we're hearing reports that it's working for treatment. So in the event that one of us would get sick, we'd have some on board.
Yeah. But I think, from what we hear, granted, this is all hearsay. It is a mess up north. Like grocery stores are a mess. It is just not good. And I literally have a hard time unless one of us needs medical attention, which we could position ourselves really close to that border where within like an 8 to 12 hour drive, we could be in San Diego with all the modern healthcare stuff. But I just can't wrap my brain around the idea of running into the flames. If it's going like hotcakes up there, like just sit back on that beach, fish, we pick up some medicine, we'll manage our water. Like, I think kind of just ride it out.
Yeah, we're just going to see what happens, right?
So, let's see. We are not going to run home to Alaska as well, but per our schedule, we had planned on going home to Alaska this summer to run our Airbnb, which isn't not doing too hot right now with the
unfortunately we're waking up to cancellations.
The bookings that happened before this mess are canceling, and there have been 0 bookings during this mess. But I really truly think this will blow over. I hope it'll blow over soon, and then everybody can just get back to normal everyday life.
Yeah. And our intention was to fly home. So I know somebody asked, how are you going to drive through Canada? And we've been talking about it because we've considered driving home now instead of flying home like we were talking about. But we don't really know what would actually happen at the northern border now because they're saying only essential travel. So if you're an Alaskan resident, and you're trying to get back home, is that essential travel? We really don't know. So, but our intention was to fly home. So up to a point, we aren't as worried about how we'll get home to Alaska. We had a place for the truck to stay in California, and we have a backup place in Arizona if we can't get to California. So
about the only reason I'd want to cross north into the States at this present moment would be if we're making a calculated push to our house in Alaska and we just post up and do our zombie apocalypse thing from our home base.
Okay.
And we'd have the beast of a truck with us as well for contingency.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to scroll through these comments here. Hello, California, Tennessee, North Carolina, Houston, Virginia, Maine, Puerto Rico, Florida, California, home state of Alaska. How would you get to Alaska since you have to go through Canada? Well, that is up in the air. Definitely just, take that one as it goes, if even necessary.
Someone's coughing. That's funny.
That's Janelle.
Smarty.
Hello, Lewis fans.
Lincoln.
Okay, I was wondering about you two if you were going to stay in Mexico. Better medical facilities at home.
We
can't
agree.
Argue that.
Absolutely.
Definitely. But there's also the mindset of if you don't get it in the first place, you don't need those medical facilities.
That's what we're aiming for. One hopes it stays that way.
Yeah.
What's your content strategy for the next few months? Well, Driving and Vibing, we're on our content strategy. Like, we were down here to collect a bunch of footage to last for a few months. So assuming that we're able to follow through on that, well, that's our strategy.
Aside from our love of Baja, this trip down here was to capture enough content to theoretically feed the channel throughout the summer while we go home, run the Airbnb, work on the documentary. And I can't work on the documentary
and do a video
video because like that monkey is on your back every single week. So we have been stockpiling videos. Yep. Good to hear from you guys, Kyle and Olivia.
Well, you should let us know where you are. Maybe
we're outside of La Paz right now.
6 feet apart from each other and say hi.
Robin's daughters.
Running a fever. Robin,
there are many things that can cause a fever.
That's right.
I hope
we'll be sending positive energy that way.
Janelle and Mark, we might bring back some extra toilet paper. I'd love to see those military inspections. Like, just open the door and have like 100 rolls fall out, and the guy's like, "No narcotics and guns in here. Just get out of my way."
We can start our toilet paper smuggling business if the bed and breakfast falls apart.
Hello in Lincoln. Thank you, Alex.
You ran to the bottom.
Somehow it kind of skipped here. This is the place to be, Baja California, sir. Sir or Norte, I'm not too sure because it is going to get really toasty here in Sur. And we would probably lean more towards heading to that Pacific side.
Yep. Get cooled off. It's warm here during the day, guys. Just the last 3-4 days, it started getting to the point where it's like mid 80s and it's quite humid right now. So you get very dewy during the middle of the day. But then like right now, the sun set, the breeze started again. And I actually was wearing a jacket outside right before we ate outside this evening. And I was chilled. So evenings are still nice and cool. It's very comfortable to sleep in the truck.
All righty. Hello from Montana, Ed. We got Jay saying California is making announcements. Well, we can easily avoid that state.
I'd order to stay inside. Well, that's good. If people will just stay inside, this can get done with, and we can all move on with our lives.
Alex, you're right to stay away from the fire. Great minds think alike. Hello in Wasilla.
They don't have any toilet paper, though. Well, you can sign up for our smuggling plan.
Yeah, just don't use the cow parsnip or Devil's Club.
Yeah.
Advice about a trip to Alaska? That's all up in the air right now.
Oh no, he says thank you for your advice.
Oh, thanks for the advice. Okay, I was about to say who knows about that? I'm not buying this coronavirus hoax. The conspiracy theorist in me thinks there's a little something extra going on, but I'm not going to sound crazy and go into that in this video. It's not
that bad.
Well, let's take it day by day.
Yeah.
California lockdown, works in corrections. Dawn, congratulations on retirement.
That's right, really close.
I do feel for you. The correctional facilities will be a challenge with that close inmate population.
Didn't you read something they were petitioning to be released?
Yeah, some Alaska criminals were petitioning to be released. Like, okay,
so they don't have to
that's like extreme isolation. So. Okay, tons of RVs heading north on the 15. I would imagine there are a lot of Canadians in Arizona and
first the smoke and now the corona. I agree, guys. Like last summer in Alaska, we were fighting the fires And now this year it's the coronavirus. There you are, right there.
Okay. As long as you're isolated, jungle jargon, that's the ideal behind it. Fairbanks has a case, yeah.
They have 12 cases in Alaska as of this evening. So
sounds like jungle's got an isolated spot in the States.
Good.
Could we take a ferry from Washington to Alaska? Well, the ferry system in Alaska is a mess right now, and
not super trustworthy
or affordable. Yeah, I'm not
it's outrageously expensive. Like we checked last summer just to go when we were doing our Tuktoyaktuk trip. We thought, well, what if we could cut off the part where we go up to Glen Allen from Seward and go Wasilla to Valdez on the ferry instead. It was $900, and that was a 2-hour ferry ride. So to do from the lower 48 up to Alaska is outrageously expensive.
Yeah, and I'm very leery about getting away from this vehicle unless we're at the house. Like, you want to talk about contingencies? Having a vehicle with solar, a good amount of water, and off-road capabilities. Wheels. Yeah. Esteban who we met up in Tuck? I believe he is.
It's Wisconsin.
Good to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah. Hope you had a great rest of your trip.
Dentist appointment canceled. Yeah,
that's understandable. They've done that in Alaska now too.
CBD cures all. Well, hey, that the other half of that one can make people happy too. In the meantime,
you slid up a little bit.
I don't think I slid. I think
we'll
blame it on YouTube.
Did.
Yeah, it's never our fault.
I've heard borders.
The borders, yeah. There's chatter about non-essential travel, citizens, no citizens.
It's really unclear when you try to go read and figure out exactly where they stand right now with the borders. It's just...
Jay says U.S. citizens can go into Canada. The border will be shut down Friday. Well, we'll take it day by day, Rose.
We keep hearing that, too, every day. Oh, they're going to close the border now, and they haven't yet, so we don't know.
Athena, start a fire on that wood stove or fireplace. It'll get nice and hot. Hi, Julie. Rose, yes, you buy your toilet paper in Mexico. I can't lie. We probably have about 12 rolls.
I don't even know why we need that many.
Yeah, we don't normally carry 12 rolls.
We normally carry 4 max.
Yeah.
That's all the room. We store it under our dinette seat, and that's all the room we have for. But we've actually made some room in the garage to store some extra in case there's a run on toilet paper here.
Okay, got Bradley from Arizona. Yep. Do you want to be stuck in Mexico for at least 2 months? There's worse places to be, and if it means us being safe, yeah, totally.
I think it's just a day-by-day thing. Yeah. We're just gonna see how this unfolds because there's no point in panicking.
No,
it only will make things worse for us and everybody else,
society as a whole.
So we're just trying really hard to keep a level head, and we're trying to be really aware of the reports coming out of the White House every day so that we can stay abreast of what's going on there. And we're going to take it one day at a time. That's the only thing we know to do.
Exactly. And really, I can't say this enough. Baja does not have a tremendously large population. And there are rural areas that are unparalleled compared to what we experience up north in Alaska. You could really, really isolate yourself well. Find a beach, catch fish, somehow mitigate your water issues. Bathe in the ocean. We have 50 gallons of water, plus if we grab any other water bottles. So, 2 months. I think we've kind of been preparing for this for 7 years in many ways.
Says the weather's better down here.
I can't argue that.
Yep.
Ramiro, good to hear from you.
No desert virus.
Hello from Chicago, the big city. Mexico's much safer. I feel very safe down here. Florida's getting warm. And probably humid too.
Yeah. So the grocery stores.
I went in today.
Disney Dreams asking. Yeah. So I went into one grocery store, you went into the other.
Then after the news broke, then I went into one.
We decided to get more water.
And sunscreen.
Yeah.
Because if you gotta be here for a while, you don't want to get skin cancer.
No, we don't want to burn. And they are fully stocked. The only things that we're seeing is when we were down in Cabo, they were out of hand sanitizer and the bleach wipes. And otherwise, they've got food and groceries.
Oh, Julie, Brian, you guys didn't have to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You guys are so sweet. But it's yeah, it will be really warm, which is why we would go. Like, we're already headed that way. We're going to be on the Sea of Cortez side a little bit longer, and then we're heading towards the Pacific, where it'll get much cooler.
It's a lot cooler. And little, known fact, there's actually a mountain section of Baja that is. I think the road goes up to 9,300 feet and the peaks are a little over 10. So you could really beat the heat up there.
Yep.
Donna, that is a very difficult thing. If you have family members, that could be thought of so many different ways. Like, would your loved ones want you to get sick, or, do you be there for the loved ones, because you're it would mean running into the flames to some degree, depending on what the situation's like. But way too many variables to even make anything like that on the table. We are in Pescadero. All is good.
Good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. We're out of chicken, canned goods, toilet paper, noodles, pasta sauce, eggs, and bread. That sounds about like what we're hearing from family at home.
Yeah.
That the shelves are kind of empty.
Yeah. Let's see here. Drew, good to hear from you. How have we been feeling otherwise? I have been great.
Yeah, we got the Baja vibe going down here.
We have rounded the corner. Well, I guess rounded the corner and started the scheduled trip north, where we're going to turn here, turn there, see this, see that. We've
slowed way down.
Yeah, we've stayed 3 nights in places, which if you know us, that is really, really unheard of. And we're digging it.
We had we stayed at Las Feriles for 3 nights. That's where we went last weekend. And then on Monday was my birthday, so we came into town to Las Feriles.
Yeah.
And we just thought we'd stay there for a night. But we really liked it so much. They had a pool. It was right on the beach.
Some good people we met there.
And it was really comfortable. We got our laundry done.
Let our guard down loaded. And just kind of, not the pressure of finding a place to park. I don't know. We just relaxed, but feeling great. Thank you very much, Drew. Also feeling very healthy down here in many ways, because you can eat like a king and still lose weight down here. I do not know what it is. If our food system up north is that messed up with chemicals, but like simple things. Where's our juices?
Oh yeah.
Like these little juices down here, they come in all kinds of flavors, but you look at the ingredients in the States, it's a list of chemicals. Here you got water, papaya pulp, and citric acid. Like, that's a topic for a whole nother conversation, but I think the American food system is not good when you can come down here.
We've talked about the bread. If you buy bread down here, it only lasts for maybe 2-3 days max.
When I was a kid, bread used to mold.
And we remember back in the day when things molded.
Bread doesn't mold anymore.
Yeah, because it's full of chemicals. It's just so healthier. You feel better. So we lost our place. Where were we? Okay.
So David, California said stay in place. Well, I think stay in place is pretty good, and isolate yourself or get outside and go somewhere remote. Heck yeah. LA. Yep. Yeah, I think that's the way the world is going right now.
The non-essential stuff is closing everywhere, which I know it's going to put a huge economic strain on people. We're really thinking about everybody in that sense. It's really stressful for everyone.
Yeah.
Lots of happy birthdays. Thank you guys.
I feel bad for a lot of people because this is going to cause financial hardship. It's causing financial hardship for us with our bed and breakfast business. There's people not going to work. There's other small business owners. There's the giant corporations that are probably going to get bailed out. Yeah, it's interesting times, guys.
Too.
Yeah.
So this is funny. The Wandering Gants. Scary thing is, all the mass-produced bread was gone, but the fresh-baked bakery bread was still at the store. Wow. What does that say?
Yeah. All right, guys. We are coming up on a half hour.
Yeah.
If any final questions, put them in the chat window. It's been awesome socializing with you guys in a controlled environment, doing live.
Social distancing, so it's a little lonesome for everybody, right? All of those extroverts having to stay home.
Yep. But just a reminder, if you look in the video description for this video, you will find a link to our blog, which will then give you a link to the video. It is a 25-minute awesome video where we go from Bay of LA and we talk about going through the military checkpoints, being squeezed by corrupt cops, some road hazards that still make me cringe every time we hit one of those speed bumps because we busted the subframe on our camper. But that's all coming. It's been an adventure.
Well, and something else you're going to notice with the content for Mexico, we're trying this and we'll see. I'm having a really good time. I've been writing a blog post for each of the videos we've released. And so we're going to continue that at least through the Mexico series. And I don't know, just different perspective, different point of view. Some of it's informative. Some of it's just kind of a how we're feeling and journalish type entry about our travels as well. And so be sure to be looking for those blog posts. They're linked in each of the videos, and then they're over on outliersoverland.com.
Yeah.
So you can find them under the blogs, and they'll come out in the same day as the videos do.
Esteban.
Yeah.
So we're in La Paz, which is on the Gulf side or outside of La Paz.
Yeah.
There is an awesome beach, a spit of land out there. They got to air down the tires that we camped at. But given all the mess that's going on, we opted to just come into a RV park.
Yeah.
But no, we're on the Sea Cortez side. But if we're down here for any long periods of time, we're heading to the cooler Pacific.
Yeah. Well, we had plans over the course of the next week or so to head to cooler climates and on the Pacific side. We missed you guys too. We wish you were down here.
It was fun.
It's not too late.
Having you guys down here traveling together, it was a blast.
And we didn't have to. Well,
no,
we haven't had to run home yet.
No. Last year, Shelby, well, our beloved dog, was ill and she wasn't doing well in Loretto. That was a interesting feeling reaching Loretto.
It was kind of
something about just, you were driving, so I actually had a chance to like stare off into the desert, and I got to thinking, like, you know, we had this dream and we pushed and we made it happen. We came back.
Yep.
And we made the most of it when our beloved Shelby needed us the most.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just very deep and symbolic, reaching Loretto and then just moving on past it. Just shows, you know, you get knocked down, keep pushing.
Well, and it was a little sad to just be in Loretto too, but so all the rice was gone except for the organic brown rice. Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Thank you, Drew and Jay. Time limit 6 months for Americans.
Yeah.
We have the what is the little
visa, the FFM,
FFM thing,
the visa, and our insurance.
Yeah, we bought a 6-month policy for our vehicle's auto insurance because it was only like, well, it was actually more expensive to buy a 5-week policy than a whole 6-month policy.
Yeah. And we also just thought it was better to not have like a set date, but have a little bit of room in case we broke down or something happened and we needed to be down here a few days longer.
Yeah. Plus, we might need to do a shakedown trip here before we ship out overseas. Who knows? But I just like having the option of being able to duck below the border.
Yeah. I'm really sorry to hear that, Brad.
That's horrible. I really hope, I have no idea how this is all going to get handled, but I really hope somehow they make it right and it's not like screw, the public doesn't get screwed, and the small business owners, like
I really hope
the heart and soul of this country.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're well invested.
Yep.
Hopefully that'll carry you through, but we'll be sending some positive energy your way for things to go well.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We are going to call this a wrap at just about, look at that, 30 minutes on the dot. Yeah, go to the description. You can check out a full video from our journey. It's up and ready to go. Yeah, that's about it.
I think so. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank
it was
you.
so good to hear from you all.
Have a good night, guys. Bye.
Bye.